welcome back all. Welcome to the very first market update video we're going to do. This is something a wee bit different, I think, for the channel. So obviously we've started I think quite well. Thanks very much for all the subscribes, likes, etc., all the comments, all the nice feedback. I thought we'd maybe do something a wee bit different at the moment. So obviously we've been doing the lineup building. We've had a podcast with SR Monkey, which was really good. And we've been doing some rewards videos and some things as well. We're at a time of the year where obviously at the moment we're going through summer. We've got Europe coming back in a couple of weeks, and there's lots of different developments ongoing in terms of the site as well. So everyone's all talking about, or there's ongoing stuff with the fiat wallet at the moment. So I'm going to talk about that and what effect I think will have on the market or using the site. We've had things like collections which have been introduced. Obviously that's made me go bonkers and buy all the limited Boca guys and stuff to complete the collection. So that's nice. We'll talk a wee bit about that and generally speaking what we've got upcoming. Just a quick reminder before we go into that as well, we've got the giveaway running. So if you're watching this video and you haven't got involved in the giveaway, there's a giveaway video on the channel as well. Or if you go to at McBrideAce on Twitter, then you find the giveaway post. Through August, we'll be giving away all the limited cards that are won. So every week, picking someone, they get to obviously keep anything they win, which I think is quite a cool giveaway, and everybody seems to like it as well. So hopefully a bit of fun engagement and something to look forward to with Europe coming back during these quite boring game weeks sometimes. No offence to Asia and American players. So let's get into it. Right, let's get into it. In case you see me sort of looking down, I'll just be double checking that my camera is actually working. So that all this technology stuff, wee bit new to me, but yeah, for some reason things just work sometimes and sometimes they don't work. There we go. I don't think there's really any particular technical reason for it other than it just being an actual computer itself. So just back to the old home screen here. So one of the things I touched on there was collections. So that's a recent update, and we'll come back to that in a wee minute. So in terms of how I feel about the market just now, obviously we're going through the summer period. So I think one thing people have got to recognise at the moment is that Europe isn't actually back yet. So it was brilliant for Sorare to cover the under-21s. Obviously, they covered international games in general. So you've got like the Nations League or the Euro qualifiers and things, which are generally speaking covered, which is really good. Now we're getting into a spell where even the MLS is getting upcoming wee break before the Leagues Cup, which is again is a new thing that Sorare are covering, and grateful they are obviously covering it. Over the next couple of weeks, you've got some sort of quietish game weeks as well. And although we've had new teams coming out in Argentina and South America in general and stuff, MLS cards, etc., are halfway through the season. So some of the utility you get from them, obviously, it's not gone, but the peak prices tend to be towards the initial mints because you've got the whole season's usage and you've got obviously the sort of the bonus will build up and all that sort of stuff as well. I think one thing for people to be careful of just now, and this is like a thing I was discussing with someone the other day, is from the point of view of the actual purchases just now, now's not a time you'd be looking to start a collection. So I think like auctions and buys and everything just now should really be a point where you're looking to complete a collection. What you've got to be really careful of, and this is quite important, obviously, if you're a newer user or maybe if you're moving up to rares from limited or whatever, or just in general regarding the bonus, is that if you're buying cards just now, then if the new cards come in 4 or 5 weeks' time, you're going to lose that 5% season bonus. So especially with collections and things coming out, XP is really important. So if you're new to the channel, XP, just like a build up of points, and cards go up through levels and points eventually become more in the fantasy tournaments. So yeah, that's a crucial thing, I think. At the moment, it's a weird one because sometimes buying a card on the secondary market is actually better than buying the current season card, i.e. the season card of Europe, which is currently running. So those cards obviously will show just now at 5%, but in a few weeks' time, that 5% could just drop off, and then that's you back to 1 or 2%. And things are getting really competitive just now. So I think that's something people really should pay a lot of attention to. In terms of the market, prices are sort of reflective of how many people are actually playing just now. So I think like in the under 23s and things, the prizes are not too bad just now. I mean, obviously you'll see in the under 23s I'll be playing, and there's star rewards available and things, and that's still really good. Obviously with some of the restricted game weeks, but I'd imagine some people are just taking a break at the moment. I think some people just don't play America and Asia, etc. If they do play them, they play them or maybe into the All-Star with complementing some of their sort of European guys as well. So it's naturally a time, even when Sorare was really, really, really booming, even when like the Eredivisie came in January and February and things were really booming, it's always been a point where prices have cooled a wee bit. So I think that's pretty natural. The other thing I want to talk about just now before we go into collections and things is like the fiat wallet and the project and everything that's happening just now. So obviously there's a couple of things happened from the point of view of the secondary market. Sorare have turned off card buys, so there was an awful lot of like credit card fraud and things going on. People like buying cards and then just dumping them at lower prices straight away, which was just obvious for credit card fraud. And obviously that's quite hard for Sorare to keep on top of. So I'm sure loads of accounts have been frozen, etc. But it has got to the point where literally they've just said, well, you can't buy in the secondary market with a card. Again, if you're pretty new to this, what difference does that make? Well, you've got to put in at the moment money and convert it to Ethereum. So you've got to use RAM per moon pair. You've got to move it in through a wallet, which has associated fees. And sometimes people tell me that they're struggling to use RAM per moon pay, etc. Their bank just won't let them use things like that. So some banks are taking quite a difficult approach to crypto and everything just now as well. So the fiat wallet's a huge project, and obviously there's been a few things happening recently. I'm just going to flick on to the sort of general Sorare support and the product updates and the things which have been happening recently. So I do expect there'll be some sort of update on the actual fiat wallet soon. The recent update yesterday was along the lines of, we're not going to cover withdrawals. So to explain what that means, at the moment you've got Ethereum in your account, and even if you can see it as the fiat value, it's sitting there as Ethereum. If you want to take it out, you do what's called a withdraw to, and you put in the address, the F address, and it's sent out. And Sorare have always been covering the fees for this. The F fees are pretty low at the moment, but Sorare have actually been covering those Ethereum fees. So what they've said is, now if you want to move money out as Ethereum, then we're not going to be covering those. People obviously see that as a negative in things, and obviously it is a slight negative, but firstly, the fees are not really that high. Secondly, I think that's them getting ready for the fiat wallet, because when people pay money in, obviously if they could then convert that to Ethereum and then take it out without paying fees, then it would just be the cheapest way ever to buy Ethereum, etc. So I don't have any details when the fiat wallet will come, or whether or not you'll be able to pay in pounds or dollars or euros and actually not pay a fee for paying it into the site. But that's going to be a really important, sort of crucial one. The effect on the market just now is obviously down to the situation with secondary against markets and paying money in. So a lot of the times, if people really needed a card, they would just pay it on their card on the secondary. So there used to be a 10% card fee for that, but people would just take the hit on that, just thinking, well, if I put in some Ethereum, there's either a hassle factor with that, or I'm going to have to pay a fee to buy the Ethereum and stuff. So undoubtedly, that's probably having an effect on the market just now. As all said and done, I think the market's holding up pretty well considering all that. So if we come back here and we go into the new card auctions section, at the moment you'll see there's 5,500 limited, 1,800 or more rares, 200 super rares, and 22 uniques all on auction at the moment. So, prices are holding pretty well, I think, considering all these different factors, considering it's summer, considering how much or how many cards So Rare are still actually able to mint. So, yeah, I mean, maybe at this point you would expect the prices would be rising again, but if you look at a lot of the kind of main good scoring European players who don't have a link to Saudi Arabia, etc., then, a lot of these guys are actually like on the rise as well. So I think all said and done, given that So Rare have introduced the 5% sale fee and everything fairly recently as well, it's all going the way it probably should be at the moment. Undoubtedly, the prices are a lot lower than what they were. So we've went through that spell after Christmas, etc., where with a few big accounts shite their panties, for want of a better word, and it's like selling off their gallery in the one go, and then the gallery buyers would just relist to just try and make a profit, not really worrying too much about the overall sort of prices, and the floors kind of coming down and down and down. So yeah, that we've been through that spell, and it looks like we've either hit the bottom or we're in the bottom, as far as I can see from what's been happening. I do really think though the fiat wallet's hugely important. So why is this so important? Like, obviously people can just buy at auction with their card and stuff. Well, obviously the card you want might not always be on auction. You might need a card for a specific game week. You might need a specific season of card for collections. You might not just want to buy the auctions just now, knowing that they're going to lose their season bonus and things. So, the fiat wallet is important for that. And also, over and above being important for that, I think there's a barrier to entry in terms of crypto as well. So there's a lot of people who just don't really want to sign up because they don't want involved in crypto. So if you could put in pounds and you can deal with pounds, or I think one of the updates suggests, or one of the settings on the site suggests, you might be able to be paid your sort of tournament winnings in pounds instead of Ethereum, things like the threshold or your podium prizes or your top 100s and stuff. So that'll probably appeal to a lot more people. So I know myself sometimes discussing with guys I know, or discussing with people who are trying to refer on their mates. Some folk will say, well, still want to get involved in crypto. So there's definitely a lot of upside and stuff regarding those things which can be improved, and undoubtedly the fiat wallet is a big project for So Rare, and hopefully once that's put in, as long as it's able to be used by people from all different countries, if you can obviously pay in your pounds, your euros, or your dollars, etc., then that should help the market as well in terms of liquidity. Coming on now to collections. So obviously this is something I've been getting involved in a lot. So the first thing is obviously from the point of view of like Celtic collections, etc. I used to sort of collect these guys before collections were even a thing. So you'll see I've got some sort of bonkers scores here. You need to get to 750 to get the extra 5%, and obviously I've got like 1400 in the old very first Celtic collection, and yeah, that was always something that appealed to me in terms of collecting them from a personal point of view, and it's nice now to get like a bonus and things from them as well. Again, if people are new, what this means is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5%. It means that you get a bonus on all those cards in the tournaments. So 5% is quite a good bonus as well, I would say, if you've got good scoring guys, and particularly in tournaments like Limited, which are quite competitive, if you've got a couple of percent in each card, then that can make a huge difference. I think it also opens things up as well for other clubs. So everybody knows I'm a Celtic daft mad bugger, just love Celtic and talk about them all the time and all that sort of stuff. But it opens up things like other teams as well. So Boca Juniors are an interesting one. So just having a look through here, I decided to complete this collection. So first thing to point out is there's a couple of guys in here already owned, like Valentin Barco, Gaston Avila, Alan Varela, even down to guys like Christian Medina, Aura Zabalos. So these are guys like that I bought when Boca came out, and I've been holding them, and now I've decided to complete the collection. There's a couple of reasons for it. Obviously, I rate a lot of these guys, so if it can be worth completing a collection if you think these guys are actually really good players that could go on to better things, and you just want to have that first season card of theirs, or if you want to keep using it and getting the best bonus. Picked up Augustin Rossi. He's moved to Flamengo now, so he'd moved, but then he'd went on loan to Saudi Arabia, and now he's going to be covered. So I'm hoping he'll win the spot there. Picked up another couple of guys here as well. I won't go through all of them, won't bore everybody with them, but I picked up Christian Pavon as well, because Christian Pavon's now playing at Atletico Mineiro, and he's scoring reasonably well too. So it kind of gives me a use throughout the summer as well. So that's kind of nice. So you'll see I've got a couple here, and obviously I've got quite a good Manchester City collection as well. So again, as I was saying earlier, the 5% season bonus is going to drop off those cards when the EPL cards come out for next season. So the 4% that I've got just now will become 5% when the 90-day sort of extra points come in for holding and not listing. And then, they're obviously won the treble last season, so it's not just for collectability, it's actually for playability as well, having these guys like De Bruyne, Haaland, Phil Foden's a personal sort of favourite of mine, but even guys like Ruben Diaz, etc., were all scoring really well towards the end of the season. I think that the collections has been proper genius from Sorare. Like, I think this together with list or play has really helped the market. Obviously, collections mean that you get an extra boost, so it becomes a bit sort of addictive. Like, I want to keep improving my collection because I know I'll get more points in the tournament. So there's a gameplay aspect to it. Then there's a collectability aspect to it of just your OCD kicking in and saying, well, I've got 23 out of 24. I want 24, I'm so close to completing the collection, etc. So I think it's been really good, and those people been interested in cards that otherwise maybe they wouldn't have been interested in. So come back to the Boca collection, I bought a few guys who are 33 for £1 and £2 or whatever. So otherwise, nobody would be interested in them at all, to be honest. Well, a good few of them anyway, because they're not really even doing anything in SO5, etc. at the moment. Over and above that, obviously we've had Leicester play, which was a bit controversial when it came in, but again, think it is helping. So you'll notice, like, for example, the last video was talking about Messi, and he's going to be playing at the weekend, and what you'll see towards the weekend is that a lot of the Messis will be unlisted because people will then be using them in the tournaments, so it takes a bit of pressure off the floor. The downside is that if he's doing a hat-trick at the weekend and people they'll go mad and they want to buy, just, they're watching him play and their first reaction is, he's so good and I want to go and buy him, then there might not be any listed. But I think it does overall help prices. Sometimes you'll see somebody will go and just pay way above like what the recent average has been because all the cards are all like basically in usage, and they just want to go and buy that player because maybe he's a young guy and he's burst on the scene and he scored 2 goals or whatever. So I know Messi's not, but point with Leicester play is I think it's actually been a really positive thing for the market. It's helped to stabilise prices, and what sort of are saying, well, yeah, you can list your cards if you want, but we're not letting you win threshold Ethereum prizes or win podiums, or we're not letting you win top card prizes or whatever whilst listing them as well. You need to keep it to the end of the game week, which can cause some other issues with trading and stuff. I get all that, and I get that it might be harder for smaller galleries, but ultimately what's really bad for smaller galleries as well is if prices keep going down. So there we go. So between Leicester play, collections, more sort of emphasis on holding cards rather than just buying and dumping them straight away, even after the deadline or whatever. I think we're moving back in the right direction, and ultimately the peak points in Sorare are usually round about maybe August, September-ish, and maybe after Christmas when you've got winter breaks over and done with, you've got MLS coming back, all that type of stuff, and everything's all running at the same time. The other elephant in the room just now is obviously Saudi Arabia. Me and SR Monkey discussed that on the podcast we did, so I won't go into that in too much detail, but obviously that's hampering things a lot just now because there's a lot of guys who are being linked or even moving there. So yeah, I don't want to look at Jota. I'm not going into the Celtic collection because it's still a bit raw at the moment. So yeah, he's returned his price anyway. Let's just say that, and he's still quite young, but he's buggered off and he's a Blue X just now. So Blue X means that he's went to a team that's not covered at the moment for the league, but they are in the Asian Champions League, which is so get at least 6 games of coverage, but it's absolutely nothing, obviously, compared to how many games you would get through Celtic, etc. Coming back to sort of general Sorare updates, obviously there's been lots of other stuff going on. So the game week deadline's been moved back to 11. Personally, I've enjoyed actually having the extra couple of hours on the day to set my teams. It helps me out a lot, obviously, because I've got so many teams, etc. too. I think that obviously it's going to go back to that when Europe comes back, etc. But it makes more sense just now because you've got games in South Korea, in particular, which are quite close to the actual deadlines. You'll see, obviously, as part of this, there's an update, and Sorare have been quite transparent and said that they are working to maybe get another stats provider on, but you want to make sure the quality of the data and everything is good. If you've got a different data provider, they can score things slightly differently, and also Sorare has a really, really, really detailed matrix, so you've got to make sure those things are all being scored correctly and things aren't all of a sudden skewed by changing on the data providers, etc. side too. The problem just now is Asia and MLS, etc., or South America. They're the only things really that are running at the moment. So sometimes people are just kind of forced to use these cards because can't always just afford to go out and get a replacement, or you might have guys who have good fixtures, or you might just own Cezinha and just want to play Cezinha every week, which is kind of where I'm at with it as well. So yeah, there's been loads of stuff happening, and hopefully there'll be some other things coming by way of updates soon from Sorare, and we'll do some sort of reactionary videos and things to that as well. I think that's pretty much everything I want to say just now. I don't want this video to be too long because people will be getting fed up listening to me by this point, but I think just in conclusion, I think it's quite pleasing to see the market has stabilised and is over the summer, some of the Euro cards are starting to rise again. Obviously, the problem earlier on this year when people were having a bit of a wobble, or people were taking that as an exit point to sell off their galleries and things, that was causing prices to drop. So with the Lister play, with the collections side of things, Sorare have really done a lot to kind of bring some value back to the cards, etc. That said, and obviously we always got to be realistic here as well. I'm just going to show you a good example. So, sold Morioka earlier, so you'll see what the purchase price there was and what the actual sale price is. People say, why not just keep a hold of it, etc. Well, obviously, I'm in a position where I've got to consider things like tax, etc. So that's a nice position to be in. But I've sold a few cards which I've taken a loss on, which helps my overall profit and loss as well. And if I really want them, I could buy them back like later on in a month or two's time or whatever. But I've just decided to pass that card on for my own reasons. But you can see how big some of the drops have been, and obviously with different things like second divisions coming in, and obviously overall card supply, etc., limited have dropped a lot. So maybe they just got a bit too high in the first place. Maybe I was just a complete idiot for paying 300 for Morioka, but it was a guy who was previously a really good SO5 scorer, and I'm sure if he gets back in the team or gets the right move, maybe to St. Trudens, who have Japanese owners, or maybe back to Japan, he might be a really good SO5 option again anyway. But that's just an example of some of the sort of drops and the things that we have seen happening. So, I'm not saying we could get back to those limited prices again. I don't realistically see that, but obviously the hope is that when the fiat wallet comes in, that the product's more suitable for mainstream. And the good thing with the prices just now is that will allow people to buy in, because you can come in now and buy some pretty good teams for 100, 150 quid and just run with them. So the prices are becoming more sensible or more real world prices and limited, and then we see obviously where we go from there. So I'm going to wrap it up shortly. Obviously, just a reminder on the giveaway. If you've stayed with me to the 23rd or 24th minute of the video, thanks very much for watching again. If you have any suggestions and things you want me to talk about, want to do, cover, or whatever, then fire the comments in the channel. Or even if you're buying some guys for this season, you think, oh, I'd like to get some advice, am I making a huge mess of this or whatever, or you see two different cards, one's a current season, one's old season, different levels and things, you want some advice, then give me a shout, because that can help you to prevent you from making some key mistakes. So anyway, we'll have some other market updates, probably mostly scheduled on more quieter weeks where there's not much else to put out regarding content, but let me know what you thought of the video or the overall thoughts I've put out here, and if you have any suggestions, let me know. But thanks again, guys.